guys, Gabe here, Big Man Comics Live. How you doing today? I'm just working on some sketch design layout for a cover for the Unstoppable Tyrus. I hope you're having a good one. Come in, hit the like, hit the share. Make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff, and we're gonna have a great time. How's everyone doing today? What day is it? Is it Thursday?
Thursday.
I don't remember. Yesterday was all over the place. We went to the county fair and kind of lost track of time. Woke up a little bit late today and was working on some stickers I need for Comic-Con. So I'm just barely getting to work illustrating stuff today, but that's all right. Got a lot of time to get it done today. So.
Right.
Well, what is the latest? I don't know. I see all that entertainment news stuff, and I'm like,
I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of out of the loop right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
What did you think of the fair yesterday?
I thought it was fine. You know, the county fairs, whatever. I think it's just mostly for kids, right? Young people. The fair food is weird. It's one of the, I think just because we've eaten a lot healthier for years now, I don't like junk food. And it is kind of, it's one of those things that sounds kind of good, but I don't think it's very good, you know. And I'm not saying the people making it are doing a bad job necessarily, but all this deep fried whatever, you know, it's kind of gross to me, to be honest. I have a little bit of it, and I'm not too happy with it. So I don't know. I wanted to get those battered Australian fries with nacho cheese for many years. I saw it. I got them yesterday. I have to say I was pretty disappointed. Didn't think they were great. But big slices of potato covered in like a tempura batter, and it was too greasy. Yuck. So
I thought it was pretty good, but only while it was hot.
Yeah, that's a lot of fried things are that way, right? So.
That's true. But I thought it was interesting. I never had a deep fried like potato French fry type of thing. And then it was covered in nacho cheese and ranch and bacon bits.
Not great. Too much. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I don't know. Yesterday was all over the place. Did a lot of things. Got a lot of stuff done, but got to really get back to work today on just the comic book stuff. These are the pencils for a Tyrus cover that I'm working on. When I did the covers for Tyrus last year, me and Akeon, we didn't have the book fully written. I had the idea, but I did not write the book until like November. You know, we didn't start drawing the book until the holiday, you know, like Christmas time and all that. So there's so much I didn't know about the Tyrus book that I hadn't invented yet, hadn't written, hadn't imagined, that when I did the cover, it was very basic. We knew the character's design and all that, but we didn't know where. I put him in the city, like a superhero, like all the Marvel and DC heroes are basically in New York. And it turns out we don't spend much time at all in the city. We're in a lot of ancient lost temples in this thing. There's some stuff in the city, but when I drew the covers a year ago, it was right before Comic-Con last year. I didn't even know that I was going to write all that. So, but you know, the story goes where it goes. It is interesting being a writer, how the stories just kind of go where they go sometimes. And you have a general idea, but as you write, you just keep getting these ooh moments, and you come up with more stuff. You know, so. But,
yeah, I think that's kind of interesting, the development of that, where you make a cover just to announce it, but then sometimes that cover doesn't fit later on down the line.
Yeah, and that, you know, that happens with all stuff, with movies, with everything that happens, where you're just like, well, and that's why the cover I did last year was very plain. It was just him jumping through a cityscape, because I knew that I didn't know the whole story yet. I knew the entire premise of the story, but I didn't, you know the villain. I didn't even created the villains yet or anything like that. Tyrus and I had a few phone conversations with some concepts about some villains, but we didn't settle on anything until in the fall, you know, a couple months after Comic-Con. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this all goes. But I'm having a lot of fun now that you know, we're near done. You know, I've illustrated I think 106 or 107 pages.
Yeah, you're pretty far.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about Imperium, and I'm excited about all this stuff, you know. And it is kind of crazy to do it the way I do it, where I don't even know what I'm doing next. I have a few ideas. You know, we were going to do Dean King next, and then it's like, no, we're going to do a Tyrus sequel instead. And I have this military thriller that I wrote, but I want to rewrite it. And like, I don't know, I've just got a ton of stuff, a ton of freedom, I suppose. But you do have to lock down eventually. You do have to make choices eventually. So, you know, once you make a choice to do one, there goes the other one that you could have done at the same time. So, but overall, very satisfied, very excited about this stuff. It's a lot of work.
How do you decide what you're doing next? Like, what's the thought process?
You just feel it. You just know. It's like, how do you know what you want to order on the menu? You might be looking at 2 or 3 things, but you kind of know which one you're favoring. You know, I know what I'm favoring. I'm favoring a sequel to Tyrus, and for Acheon, I'll have him just do the whole thing next time instead of him doing layouts and me illustrating it. I would just have him do the entire thing, and then I would do the military thriller that I wrote because that's what I feel like doing. So that's what I'll do. You know,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how else to put that. Yeah, like that's what I feel like. So.
I have a writer question for you.
Okay.
What's your approach to the world building when you're working on, because you did a sci-fi, you did like a Bondish one with Dean Cain. How do you approach that? What's the
I make the world fit the characters. The characters are everything. The world doesn't matter. Like people think it does. Like, oh, it's fantasy with dwarves and dragons. And the world doesn't matter. The world is icing. The world is bacon. The world is the ketchup. It's not the meat. The characters are the meat. And the characters are all that matter, because if you had the world of Star Wars and you took all the characters out, what do you have? Planets, asteroids, black holes, spaceships, like, but no people. The characters are all that matter. So I think of the characters and the journey they're going on, and then the world they're in is just for fun. Whatever's interesting, whatever would be cool to draw, whatever would be cool to think about, that's what the world is for. So yeah, to me, it's like it's the frosting. It's you understand what I'm getting at there. So world building, I don't get too concerned with it. The world, I fit it around the characters. You know, that's how that works for me. So
yeah, I think that makes sense, because you're right. If you take the characters out, you don't have anything.
Yeah, the characters are really all that matters. So and people don't see that. Like, one thing I don't like to do is write myself into corners. You know, some nerds have been accused of getting into the minutia of the world, right? Oh, this is exactly how the spaceship works. This is exactly how the proton teleporter technology works. And when you set these bright lines, these hard rules, okay, you just killed some creativity now. You can't do X, you can't do Y, you can't do Z, because you made a rule in your universe. And the minute you start breaking those rules, it's not fun for the reader. So to me, I like to leave things loose and mysterious. When there's magic powers or time travel or teleporting or special super weapons, whatever, I'm not going to explain it because I don't know either. I don't care. And that way I can keep writing different things and I won't write myself into a corner, you know? And I think you have to have flexibility, because it's all fantasy anyway. It doesn't matter. So anything can happen. So I like to leave as much open as I can. Now, will there be rules just from the nature of how stories are written? And yeah, there will be a verisimilitude of its own in the story, of course, because that's just going to happen as you write things. But I try to avoid being pedantic about it, being precious about it, you know? I don't want people on a message board arguing about the teleportation technology. Like, oh my gosh, no. So this is supposed to be fun. It's not math homework. So
Right.
So that's the way I look at it.
And when you're writing all of this stuff, and this is obviously a question more for the beginning part, do you outline this, or do you prefer more like just off the cuff approach?
Oh, for sure it's outlined. Yeah. What you do, it's like building anything. When you start with the broad strokes, and then you go in and in and in and in and in and into the detail. The problem for everyone that's a beginner or an amateur is they go to the detail. They start drawing eyelashes. You can't do that. You gotta draw the head, the egg of the body, the box of the hips. You gotta draw the S line of the spine and the legs. You gotta draw all that first. You gotta start big. You gotta be zoomed way out. You cannot zoom in until the final moment. When you zoom in too quickly and too much, you break the overall big shape. It's that thing Doug told me, let the big shape win. It couldn't be more true about drawing, about writing, about every art, about every self-expression. You let the big shape win, and that's that. For instance, I've got to get I'll show you my underdrawing here. Okay. So this is my underdrawing. Is that showing up?
Yeah, it's light, but you can see it.
Can I find a way to darken it? I suppose I could duplicate it and then I could multiply it.
You can see it.
Hold on. Oh, hold the wrong layer. Duplicate. There.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an underdrawing there. And you gotta have a good silhouette, right? So let's just make a silhouette out of this. I'll explain this real quick. You gotta have a good silhouette. And this is like writing a story. You have to have just a good general shape. Okay. So we know who and what this is just by looking at it. Okay. But before I draw one shoelace, one eyelash, one anything like that, I have to make sure, and this is sloppy because I'm doing it in 10 seconds, I have to make sure that shape is correct. Okay. I have to make sure that's correct. And until that's correct, I shouldn't move on. And then the next thing you're going to do is more big shapes of the shadows and the light. So then I'm going to come in and let me get a big pen. I'm going to make sure that's not big enough. Why are we doing this? I got to pick a better color. Sorry. Inking, studio pen. Let's get a bright yellow. I got to make sure that the big shape on the shadows is correct. The shadows and the light. So where's this muscle? Where's this shoulder? Right? And then we got a little bit of a chest light here. We got a little bit more here. We got some light coming across the face. Maybe it hits the nose. Something's hitting the shoulder, hitting the bicep, hitting the arm. And we stay away from details. And you sculpt out a big shape of shadows and light. And until that's right, you don't draw one shoelace or one anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that stuff until later. And writing a story is just like this. You're getting the big shapes correct. If you don't get this stuff right, the whole thing's going to fall apart. Whether it's a drawing or whether it's whether it's a drawing or whether it's a story. So that's, as far as world building goes. People love details. They're fun. They're weird to look at. It looks so challenging. I think the reason people like details is like, how did you do that? How did you do? I've been asked that my whole life. How did you do all those details? And it's unimportant. It doesn't matter. The big thing is the only thing that matters. So here, that's why a drawing like this is more loose. That's why it's looser. And it's not so tight, and it's by loose I mean it's a little sloppy, and that's fine.
Right.
You don't want to get tight on this stuff too. And when you get tight, you're going to lose energy anyway, right? So
is there a point that you do get tight?
No, drawings should never be tight. They should always be bouncy. They should always be loose. They should always be energetic. And you got to really watch it not to lose that stuff. And again, the way you keep the drawing from getting tight is getting the big shape right. That's how you do it. If you can't do that, you'll destroy it. You really will destroy this thing. So
it's I'm just making an observation, and correct me if I'm wrong. It shows how important that the outline is. Even, and now I'm talking about the drawing, although I believe in the writing as well, but because the outline, when your example earlier, we know what it is. We know that's a big man standing there in a strong, hulkish position.
Right. Right. And if I can't get that silhouette correct, it just won't even read, because your brain is looking at the silhouette, like the subconscious part of your brain, that it's identifying things by the big pattern. That's how it identifies everything. A pattern is the sum of all the parts, right? Well, the silhouette of the character is the sum of all the parts. It's not each individual part. You don't look at a car and see, oh, there goes a headlight down the street, right? You don't look at a car, oh, there goes a bumper. Oh, wait, there's a car attached to the bumper. Your brain doesn't like parse out all the little pieces. So when you make something, you really need to keep in mind the entire shape of it and not get into the detail until it's time, you know? And even then, there was a writer it was a super famous writer, and a joke bit of advice that is true advice, but it's funny the way he says it is, take out all the parts people don't read.
Right.
So what he means by that is, brevity's the soul of wit. Don't be going and doing things because it's fun or you're showing off or whatever. The overly detailed work, that's a trap. That's a trap. And I think a lot of it's based on youthfulness and insecurity. I've talked about this before. When we're young artists, we tend to really want to show off. You want to prove yourself. You feel a little like, do I really belong here? Am I good enough? Am I really one of these guys? And you'll just hammer the detail. And you can torture a drawing. You can just beat it to death with too much detail, So I'm going to do this pretty sloppy line art that's a little tighter than my underdrawing. And then I'm going to go in and just with a big piece of chalk or an airbrush, define those giant shadows. And when I'm happy with all that, then I'll go in and tighten it up, and then I'll ink it. You know what I mean? After that, but I've got to establish the shadows. So for instance, I'll just show you what I'm thinking here on this arm. What I'd probably do is something like this. I'll use a big brush. I would probably, I don't like that brush. I'll use this one. Okay, and then we'll kind of make it a little see-through. Okay, that's not the brush I wanted. Wow, that's embarrassing, but it's all right. We'll grab this one. Okay, so, and I'll make it a little transparent so you can see what I'm doing. What I would do is there's probably a shadow like this, probably like this, coming across his bicep. There'll probably be a shadow in here on the bottom of this big chest muscle. And then this, the shoulder, those striations, since he's so strong, they're going to get a little bit going like that. So you start to see how I'm defining forms. And you notice the shadow's curved because that bicep is 3D and curved, right? I'll probably darken all that in right there. Darken in the gap between the two forearm muscles, maybe a little bottom of this bicep here. That'll probably darken up that there. Probably all of that like that. And then just kind of, you see how that's defining the form. Because I'm not noodling details. This is sloppy, big shapes. So that's what we're gonna do there. We're gonna get knuckles.
Is it more important for the inker to put those shadows in, or the colorist?
The inker should do it. The colorist should have to do as little as possible if this is about illustration. We want the drawing to really sing, and we want the pen and ink to really sing, which is just a preference thing. That's what I love. Then, yeah, you want this to all be happening in the inks, and the colorist can just breathe on it. You know what I mean? That's it. Just like, oh, the colorist comes in and he just agrees with the inks. He doesn't go in there and start dazzling and modeling faces and all that. And again, we'll put a little more show here. So yeah, if you can do all this in the ink, then you should, I think, But again, that's a preference. If you're going for like some big painterly style, well, then maybe this should be open pencils and inks, and then this should be done in the colors, and then you paint it in with the colors. That's, again, it's just a preference thing. What are you going for? What do you want? What does the job demand? What does the client want? Stuff like that. So, but again, you see how these big forms, they're going to define masses. So you can start to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those muscles are coming in there. But you keep it loose. You keep it real loose, and that way you don't. If I started noodling in all these little details, I would break those big shapes. And again, you can think about writing the exact same way. So,
I guess this question can apply to both you're drawing right now, your pencils and writing, how many times do you revise it?
I would like to only do it once, but this is an unsatisfying answer. I do it until it's right. You know, you do get tired of redoing things. So the more advanced you get, the more skill you get, the more you can do it. Because right now I'm looking at drawing this 3 times, which I don't like. I'd like to draw it twice, but I have this under drawing here that I sketched out. I think it's a pretty powerful pose. Then I'm going to do these tighter pencils on top of it, and then I'm going to ink it in black finally, and that'll be the real tight one with detail. But we don't want it tight. We want the loose, flouncy, bouncy body, which we want that to stay in there. And that will only come by getting these big shapes right. You're not going to get the body language, that gesture of a ballet. Imagine a ballerina, how she's moving like a piece of silk. You know, that's how you want people to move. You want them. You can see in this that he's like twisting his body and holding his arm up. You will lose that if you attack the details first. That will go the hell away. It'll be bad, and you'll have wasted a lot of time. So that's the challenge. I mean, there's so much to know. Think about it. You're thinking 3-dimensionally. You have to know light and shadow and physics. You have to know anatomy. I mean, there's so much to know. You know, that's why when anyone thinks they're going to like, oh, it's talent, and you're just going to sit down with a pencil, and all of a sudden this just starts coming out of you. That's just not. You're not living in reality if you think that's what's happening here. So,
Do you ever scrap it, like what you're working on?
absolutely. I had a completely different cover for this Tyrus thing drawn, completely different. And I tortured it for 3 days. I emailed Akion, my mentor for drawing. What do you think of this? He gave me some tips on it. And then I was like, you know what? Screw that concept. And I just went with a completely different concept. And I'm much happier with it.
So in your first round, then, just to go back to what you said, when I asked, how do you know how many times to revise it? And you said, I just know. When you were doing the first round for 3 days, did you know that it needed to be redone, or that it needed to, like, okay, this one isn't working, I need to do something else?
I think you just feel it. You just get tired of the stuff after a while. Okay, I tried this one. It's not coming the way I want, and I don't want to mess with it anymore. You know, it's that sunk cost fallacy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've spent this much time on it. I don't want to walk away. And it's like, you want to spend another 3-4 days on it and still hate what you're doing. So you have to, you know, you don't chase good money after bad, right? You just sometimes you cut your losses and go, okay, that wasn't right. I must have started it off wrong or been in the wrong headspace or whatever. Something was really wrong with that little project, and then just moving on. You know.
Yeah, I was thinking that that's got to be frustrating, because art takes a long time. So to spend 3 days on it and then not not go with it, is it frustrating, or is it the sunk cost fallacy?
No, because to me, I never lose. To me, I always say I'm gonna get what I want, or I'm gonna get better. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at everything. So it's always I'm either learning or I'm accomplishing what I wanted in the first place. But if I don't accomplish it, then okay, I'm learning, and that's also fine. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So because those are the things I need to get better and to get jobs done. So okay, if I don't get a job done, then at least I got better, and then I can recalibrate and still get the job done. Yeah.
I was thinking of this as an outsider who's not an artist. 3 days seems a long time, but then as I thought about it more here these last couple seconds, that happens in any job. You work on a project,
Right.
and you might spend 2 or 3 days on it, and then it's a no-go, or it's not needed.
But as you worked on the project that didn't work out or whatever, you got better. Your skills got better. So what? You know, like, what are you worried about? That's how I look at it. So
yeah, that is true, and I think that's probably the way it should be looked at.
what else? I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. I don't worry about these things. They don't. It's not going to bother me.
What else is going on? Oh, I know what I've been thinking. How has your art style changed? I know it improves, but how has it changed?
I think the better you get, the thing I was saying earlier, the more you simplify. You become more confident, you trust yourself, and you do know more. Confidence and competence. Confidence comes from competence. I hate that rhymes because I always feel like when a slogan rhymes, it cheapens it. You know, like if the glove doesn't fit, you must quit. It's like
but it works.
But it like sounds silly, but it is true. But yeah, confidence will come from competence, and competence comes from doing the work, the repetition, over and over and over and over. And the better you get, the more confident you are, and you don't have to question yourself. You don't have to worry if you're doing this correctly. You don't have to worry what are they going to think, stuff like that. Because no, I've got the goods. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's just going to come from those things where you work and work and work, and sometimes you throw it away. There's a reason an artist is going to have a trash can next to their desk. Sometimes you're just going to throw this stuff away, and hey, it was a learning experience. But I've always said, and you know this about me, there's no such thing as failure.
Right.
Unless you quit. And quitting is always a choice. If you quit, then you fail, and you choose to fail. That's like, oh, people get mad about. Like, you should be happy that that's how reality works. That you don't have to fail. You can only choose to fail. That's always a choice. Because if you try something and it doesn't work, that's not what failure is. It's just progress. Maybe not at the rate you want, but it's still progress.
I had to learn that actually because it is. You do need to look at it like that, because if something didn't work, then now okay, that doesn't work. So try something else.
Right. So that's not a failure. That's a victory, because now I have valuable information of what not to do. And I would say knowing what not to do is very valuable. Very, very valuable.
Yeah.
So.
You have a question about one of your friends.
One of my friends. Okay, let's go. What's the question?
Corey Jacobs said, how is Dean Cain doing?
Busy. He's doing good, but he's always busy. He's always working on movie projects and things like that.
You did just see him a few weeks ago.
I did see him at his movie premiere from Little Angels, and I just spoke to him yesterday or the day before about some filming he's doing this July. So he's doing good, but he's busy, because I wanted him to come out to Comic-Con, and he cannot because the days of Comic-Con he is filming out in Nevada. So we will not get him. Not get him at the show. That's okay.
Yeah, when we saw him, it was super exciting. He seemed so happy to be at that premiere.
He'd worked on that movie forever and had
right.
Trouble, difficulty, challenges getting it distributed, getting it out there. And it's a passion project. He wrote it, he directed, he starred in it, all that stuff. So it was, and he's been talking to me about that movie as long as I've known him, for like 3 years now. So it was nice to see him get a victory there.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool too, because he's always super friendly, super nice, seems very genuine. But when you saw him with his cast, they were happy and excited to be around him. Yeah. And that, I think, really tells you a lot about how it is to work with him.
Yeah. I know he has high standards. He's a very smart guy, and he wants to do good work. I mean, what else could you want, when you work with somebody?
Right.
So, no, he's doing good. On a personal level, he's doing good. And on a business level, I think it's great. He's got a movie coming, I think, and this isn't a secret, this has already been announced, Kevin Sorbo, the old Hercules. from the 90s. They were both they were the last two. Kevin was the runner-up to get the Superman TV gig, and Dean got it. So they're friends. I guess Kevin is the world's most golfingest man. He's great at golfing, and he golfs a ton. And I believe the movie is called Holy One. It's about a golfer, and it's got some, good morals in the movie. I think it has some religious stuff. It's called Holy One, like hole in one, and stuff like that. So yeah, it should be good. Dean's a smart guy, so he's a good writer. That's one thing about writing that people think is true. Writing seems like you have to be smart to be a writer. You don't, but Dean is smart and he's a writer, as am I. But I do know some writers that are good writers that are dumb, which is puzzling. But,
And they're good writers?
Yes.
That's weird. I don't see.
Well, wisdom and knowledge are not the same thing.
Well, that's true.
And that's all I'm getting. Like you to be book smart, that doesn't impress me.
Yeah. I think anyone can.
You make a monkey book smart. Anyone can be book smart.
I saw a video of a monkey cooking food.
What was he making?
I don't know. It seemed like it was in a third world country, and it was like one of those wok kind of pans.
Are you sure it wasn't AI?
There were people around him, but it looked real. Now that you say that, maybe I was tricked, but it did look like it was in a third world country, and it was just like the food was already in the pan, and it just had like some kind of spatula thing in its hand, and it was moving it around. But
it may have not been real.
I think a monkey could do it. Monkeys are pretty smart.
You think monkeys would have a lot of banana themed dishes at their restaurant?
Okay. I didn't say he had a restaurant.
You got closed down for safety and
for health concerns.
Health, yeah. Picking too many fleas while he was cooking. That's disgusting. I went to Denny's the other day. I didn't go to Denny's for like over a year because their mashed potatoes grossed me out so much. One time I went like a year ago. So I went to Denny's and waited 20 minutes. No one waited on me. And
that's so disappointing.
Today's show is brought to you by Denny's. Eat here, see if we can.
Right. Corey Jacobs is backing me up. He said they wash their food and are in the stone, and it's wild.
What are you talking
about? The monkey cooking.
She saw it?
I don't know. That's just their comment.
Okay. This mysterious Michelin star winning
monkey chef.
You got 2 Michelin stars?
I don't know. It looked real to me. I don't know. But now that you say that, I think maybe I was tricked, but it did look real. And it wasn't like complicated what it was doing. It was just moving food in a pan.
I don't think a monkey can cook. Sorry. It's just not.
All it was doing was, this morning, Ivy, I had her.
She's not a monkey. She's a human.
But she's a baby. I had her mixing the onions I was grilling.
Yeah, but still, like monkeys, they're not self-aware. Why am I here? Will I die? When I die, where will I go? Monkeys don't have thoughts like that.
Maybe it's hungry.
They're not like us. They're monkeys. They're animals. Animals don't have self-awareness like human beings. There's no way there's a monkey chef. I refuse to believe it.
Say it was a chef.
You said he was cooking.
Maybe I should have said he was moving food around in a pan.
Did he serve anyone?
I saw it for 2 seconds. One comment I was going to say about Dean is I wonder if he will just become a producer now that he's because didn't he produce a couple of his Superman episodes, and now he has
he wrote
them. I thought he produced them. But now he wrote and directed and acted in Little Angels, and now it sounds like he's doing the same for the Holy One.
Yeah, I mean, he's writer, director, producer, I believe, of this thing. You know?
I think that's actually really smart. If, uh, to just create it, I feel like it's his version of what you're doing. You're publishing and making your own comics because that's what you want. And
I mean, every if you can do it, you should just do it yourself. You don't need these companies. Unfortunately, for my friends like Matthew and Dean, movies cost a hell of a lot more to make than comic books, right?
right,
So they can't just make a movie, because to make a decent movie, like to make a decent movie that you want to release in a couple thousand theaters across the USA, 10 million bucks at least, right?
a lot.
You know, you can't do it. Yeah, I mean, you can do it for a couple 100,000, this and that, but it's a low budget movie that way, and it's going to limit what you can, the resources and all that, and it kind of stinks for them. So that's the thing Matthew's always talking about, how the left just funds each other and gives each other money, and they get a hold of USAID money, and that they understand the importance of storytelling, and it just, our conservative friends don't, and I hopefully they'll wake up and get it. Get your wallet out and fund it to A, be entertained, but B, this is your culture. Your culture's at stake. And you've been not funding the arts for decades, and you're not happy with what's happening, so you need to do something about it. So
Yeah, I was thinking, it's funny that you said that, because I was thinking these conservative movie makers need to get a hold of USAID funds.
right. When I
If
found
they're
out about the
handing
way
out
USA
money.
works, like, oh man, I should have had some organizations,
Oh, well, I told you that if it comes back that I was going to make a company.
Right. You're like, hey,
And
I'm a Latino woman. Hand it
right, I'm a woman. I'm a minority in two ways, and give me some of that money, and then I'll do good with it instead of try to corrupt the youth.
Instead of telling children they were born in the wrong body.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's some gatekeeping there, so they make sure people.
Oh, yeah. Who do you think is giving out the USA?
Right.
The same fat, purple-haired woman with those ugly glasses and a nose ring. No offense if you're fat with a nose ring watching this. But that's who's handing out the money.
Right. Right.
The little communist and her friends,
It's crazy.
I should say that's who's handing out our money.
Right. Our money. And it really is our money collectively.
Right. Pay those taxes every year. Come on.
Yeah, it was like a well-known secret, I guess, but only among a few people who were going to use it for evil.
They knew how it all worked, how to give them and all their stupid friends money.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I had known about it, man. We got funding for all this. Arab Mexican guy, just play their little game with your identity, but then you pull a Houdini on them, you pull the rug out and go, I'm going to use this money to make non-woke stuff that fights wokeness.
Right.
And their little nose ring would have flown out or something.
I knew somebody who had a nose ring and the bull ring.
Who told women those were nice looking? Because they're really gross.
And she went to visit her mother, and her mother wouldn't take a picture with her with that in her nose. So she took it out to take a picture with her mom, and it didn't go back in.
Good for
her. I thought that was hilarious. Right. I have another question for you. I know a lot of people like to give feedback and comments on writing and drawings and where the story should go. Do you ever take any of that into consideration?
No.
What if it's actually like good? Like you hadn't thought about that?
I mean, I'll take it from a professional. I'm not going to take it from the crowd because they don't know. I'm not trying to be mean, but like, it's not your specialty. It's not you. Well, why would you have writing skills if you're not a writer? Like, how would you know how to write a story if you don't? It's like you don't know how to do backflips and all this stuff if you're not a gymnast. They're skills, and you either have them or you don't. And if you've never practiced them and never studied them, then you don't have them. So no, I don't listen to people that aren't professionals. I'll be polite, I'm not, oh, shut up if someone tells me something, but I'm not gonna listen to it because I'm
That kind of leads me to in thinking, when a person reads a story, and this is not meant to judge, I'm just saying it in general, or watches a movie or reads a book, and they know it's like it's bad or there's something not great about it. They innately know that it's not good, but they don't know how to fix it.
right. It's like a restaurant. You go into a 3-star Michelin restaurant run by that monkey in India, and you get the food, and everyone loves the food. But when you get it, yours doesn't have any. Yours is bad. There's a lot of things wrong with your food. It doesn't taste good. The salt is wrong. All kinds of things are wrong with your food. You can identify that as the customer eating, but unless you are a monkey who can cook, you could not then go into the kitchen and make it yourself. That's the difference. Everyone can watch a movie and go, that sucks, the story's wrong, it doesn't work. What you can't do as just a fan is now sit down and write a better one. You can't do that. And they think they can, and that's fine. They're allowed to think it. But I'll give you an analogy. If you disagree with me and you're listening, I'll show you why you're wrong gently. I'll be gentle and show you why you're wrong. It's like when I watch the NFL and the quarterback drops back and throws an interception and we lose the game. I observed what he did. He shouldn't have thrown it that way. He should have thrown it that way. That guy missed a block. That guy didn't catch it. Defense scores a touchdown. Okay, give me a helmet and shoulder pads. See if I can make the throw. Right?
Right.
I can't do that. I'm not trained at that level. I can understand it. I can't do it. And doing it is a knowledge of its own, and it's actually the most important knowledge. So to say, oh, this story doesn't make sense because they did blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you understand what's wrong. You can't fix it. Those are elite skills. There's a reason entertainers are paid what they're paid.
I feel like that with makeup. I know it's not right, but I don't know how to fix it.
I saw there was a monkey who was applying makeup on me.
Okay.
They all look pretty terrible.
Okay. When I was a kid, I wanted a monkey, and I thought I could actually get one for a pet. But
pretty sure that's not legal.
Aside from it being not legal, I was told no.
Oh, your parents weren't going to let you have a chimp in the house?
I wanted one of those little spider monkeys, those little tiny ones you put diapers on.
What a mess. You want to change a monkey's diaper?
I wanted a pet.
Horrific.
Did you have any pets growing up?
We had dogs a few times. We had Leilani, who was like a black with a little bit of white and a little bit of orangey gold. She was like a sheepdog or something like that.
Oh.
And we went to visit El Paso once, my grandma's relatives, and they didn't want this gray schnauzer, just like the Scotty one from Lady and the Tramp, looked just like him. And his name was Ruffy. So when we drove back home to Colorado, we brought Ruffy with us. We had Ruffy for years at my grandma's house, but I was always at my grandma's house. So it was kind of my dog. My parents got divorced when we moved to California from Colorado. My grandma would send us care packages like candy and coloring books and a big box full of crap. And like change too. There'd just be quarters and like things in that. I think she just like cleared off a table and gave us stuff. I remember eating a Toblerone chocolate bar that she packed in there, and it was so spicy. And she'd also pack chili peppers in the box. And chocolate absorbs flavors pretty easy because that's so much fat. But she also would write letters to us. And then one time she wrote a letter and it was from Ruffy, the dog.
Oh, that's
Or
funny.
she wrote in her letter that Ruffy said hi, something like that. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
when our kids were little, we would call my mom.
well, hold on a second. Can I show you
sorry.
this? So I was talking to you about the big shapes. So if you look at this drawing here and I take away the lines.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you're trying to get these big shapes corrected. And
That looks great, actually, even without the dark lines,
Right.
just the
So
shadows.
this is basically getting very close to my. Now he's not even wearing clothes. He's got some boots on. He doesn't have his leotard on. It's not a leotard. It's called a singlet. That I'm going to add next. I'm going to tighten up some details, and then I'm going to go in for a final drawing. I'm going to do the final drawing in paper, on paper, in
Oh,
pencil. I want to do it that way. I don't want to do it digital because this is a cover. I want the cover to exist in real life on a piece of paper. It's fine to draw that comic book pages digital. That's enough of a tragedy that those pages all don't really exist. But I want the cover to actually exist. So,
that's
and the
exciting.
background, if you're wondering for this, is going to be like an Incredible Hulk kind of, very Dale Keone kind of, the greatest Incredible Hulk artist of all time. Nice guy. I did one piece of work with him. That's a dream come true. It is just going to be like telephone poles and debris and rocks and maybe some smoke.
Just destruction.
He just destroyed everything. You could be like a tire, or just busted shit everywhere, and it'll be great. He did so many Hulk covers like that, pit covers like that. It's not that easy to draw like you think. Like, oh, you're just drawing scraps. Like, no, the scraps have to look good. They have to have their own shadows, their own big shit. They have to agree with the pose and the shape of this guy. You got to get a shadow under him and all that to make sure you know where he is. Maybe there's some fire coming up. I don't know. Maybe there's busted buildings in the background. Stuff like that. I don't know. Something like, I don't know, Kira or Mad Max, where the whole world is destroyed. You have him standing there. Maybe some smoke's going across his body, covering some of his limbs. I don't know. So I'm going to work on that after I put his uniform on him and tighten up the joints. So, but this is why the digital is so good, because you can quickly edit things. But the final drawing, I'm going to do a real pencil and ink drawing. I'm going to take today and tomorrow probably to do that. So,
well, it looks good.
yeah. So, any questions from the people out there?
No, we don't have any questions.
All right. And forever hold your peace.
Earlier, when we were talking about Dean Cain, Corey Jacobs said he wrote some of the best episodes.
That's what they say.
That's what I've heard.
No less than Chuck Dixon said that.
Oh, that's quite a compliment.
Compliment from Chuck Dixon. Great writer himself. Had the #1 movie at the box office earlier this year in March, I think, or April.
We went and saw that.
Can Jason Statham pronounce his own name, or does he say Jason Statham?
That is his own name.
He beats the shit out of people, which is nice.
You do a good Jason Statham.
It's not hard. What I don't do is an Australian accent.
Yeah. I can't do any accent.
Not even a Mexican one?
Not even a Mexican one.
That's weird.
I can do like one word and it's only because I'm copying Minnie, and she said that the students at her school would say teacher, and I don't even know if that's a good one. It doesn't sound very Mexican to me. But so no, I can't do an accent. So what was your favorite food at the fair yesterday?
I only thought that cinnamon roll, the tres leches cinnamon roll, was good. The rest of it I thought was meh.
Yeah, we did have a crazy cinnamon roll.
You know what? We had pizza. My daughter's a comedian, very successful, works at the biggest comedy club in the world, a Comedy Store, and she's great. She opened for Right Long last week. You guys all know Right Long. She's opened up for so many great comedians, and she's really growing in her career. And I ordered a piece of pizza at the county fair, and it was an ugly piece of pizza. It looked horrible. It was $9 for one slice of pepperoni. But when I go to Disneyland or the fair or whatever, I don't get upset about food prices. I understand that's part of the deal. Whatever. But I wanted something. And they hand me this ugly little piece of pizza. It didn't look warm or cooked. It looked like the worst, like cardboard box.
Frozen
pizza.
Yeah.
It looked horrible. And my daughter took a bite and goes, wow, that's good. And I took a bite and it was really good. And I said, you know what that's like? I said, that's like an ugly girl with a great person. But as I said it, my daughter said it to me like Jinx, like we said it at the same time. That's like an ugly girl with a great personality. And that's just the comedian in her and me. But it's a shame. So ugly that most people will never know.
She was telling her brother that story later. And every time she does stuff like you, I tell her, you're just like your father. And she used to hate when I told her that, because not because she was offended, because she imagines you in a dress. That's what I mean when I say she's just like you.
I've never worn a dress in my whole life.
I hope not.
Keep it that way.
Right. Yeah, let's keep it that way. I'll agree 1,000% with you.
You don't want to go shopping together?
Be gross.
They don't even make women's clothes. Wait, never mind. I was going to say they don't make it my size, and I think about some of the land whales I've seen.
Yeah. I think the best part of the fair yesterday was when Big Baby rode the ponies.
Yeah, granddaughter rode a pony.
And she loved it. It was so cute. She was laughing, and then they have her pose with the cowboy hat. And then as she knows it's coming to the end, she says, again.
Right.
And we have to tell her no, that there are other kids that want to ride.
Right. No, it was a good time, but
and we went and fed. We went to like the petting zoo kind of area.
I hate that stuff.
I was just going to say that, but you didn't like it.
No, those things are all gross. You're trying to feed them, and his mouth is full of boogers.
That's part of the experience.
No, thank you. It's like eating at that monkey's restaurant. No, thank you.
You don't know what you're missing.
I do know what I'm missing. The fucking disgusting monkey in this horrible restaurant.
He's a Michelin star chef.
Right.
What I thought was cool about feeding the animals, though, was I had never seen a calf in a petting zoo. Usually it's goats and lambs and pigs and little pygmy goats and stuff like that. But this one had a llama, it had a calf, and it had some kind of marsupial, a little like kangaroo that looked scared. It wasn't exactly.
He was miserable.
It wasn't exactly a kangaroo, but it was some kind of marsupial, or it's a type of kangaroo I'm not familiar
that
with.
Zoo in Palm Springs, we saw that diagram, and it showed there's about 5 or 6 creatures that all look exactly like kangaroos, but they just get smaller and smaller, and they have different names.
It was super cute.
Like a kinkajou.
I don't remember their names.
Quokka. Remember there was a thing called a quokka?
Quokka from Australia.
When Jericho does his Australian impersonation on the show, he always says, "Look at the size of that bigger." And I'm like, well, look at the size of that bigger. He's been saying this for like 2 years. He's saying, look at the size of that pecker.
What?
I didn't know he was saying. I said, that's what you've been saying this whole time. He's like, yeah.
But he says pega.
It sounds like bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah, I don't know. He does his Australian guy.
Yeah, he's got a good one.
I had no idea that's what he was saying.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, the little marsupial looked a little bit scared, and he sat in the water bowl.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if he was hot or just trying to hide there. But there was no place to hide. Poor thing. Right.
Wasn't great.
Well, you got anything else? We just got a few minutes before it's time to go.
Nope. I think that's a show today. I'm going to get a lot of work done. I want to get this cover done in the next 2 days, hopefully.
I can't wait to see it. It's looking really nice. So, want to remind everybody about your party that you're going to have.
Yeah, okay, guys. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up for Comic-Con. On July 26th, we're going to have the party. I always have a great party at Comic-Con, and we're going to have some of your favorite YouTubers there. The guys from Film Threat, Chris, Gore, and Alan, and Neurotic should be there. We might have some other fun, exciting guests there. My buddy owns some awesome bar, restaurant, nightclubs around town. It's going to be at his place called Urban, not too far from the convention center. That is Saturday, July 26th. We'll officially be announcing all this and advertising it after the July 4th holidays, what we've all agreed on. And I'll be having those guys probably at my booth to sign. I'm trying to get Mike Barron in. I'm going to call Mike Barron again today and see if he can come out for Comic-Con. And you're going to get Imperial Earth Illuminated. I don't know where it went. Graphic now. I had to have some of my granddaughter took off with it. I think it's over here. And this is done 120-page graphic novel. It's at the printer right now. The crowdfund goes live on my birthday, July 24th, Comic-Con. And the ensemble Tyrus, as you can see, I'm working on the cover. And I've finished illustration up to page 107. There's 125 pages. So that'll be doing it in the late crowdfunding, the ensemble Tyrus in late summer, early fall, which got a lot of great stuff coming, guys. A lot of great stuff. So go to bigmancomics.com and get on the mailing list. That's where you get all the latest info on what you can get and what we're up to entertain you. Follow me on X, on Big Man Comics, on Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube. I'm Gabe. On TikTok, which I really am posted to a lot, on Big Man Comics 1. Hit the share on this video, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.